Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of Skipping Lunch After Dark. It is lunchtime somewhere, I guess. But I am really excited tonight because I have a guy who's become a really fun contact. I always go to look him up whenever I'm at a con that he's at. We have some great conversations, and he puts out some really cool stuff. So I am excited to welcome back to the channel, because this is his second time, one Joe Wetzel from Inkwell Ideas.
Hi, yeah, great to see you. Enjoy
And
talking
I
to you
finally
all the
I
time.
finally called it Inkwell Ideas instead of Inkwell Designs, which I do every time that we meet.
Yeah,
Um,
well, it's
every
all right.
time.
It's all right. Fortunately, well, yeah, well, that's a whole other maybe. Yeah, it's a whole other conversation.
It's not all right. I just will always do it now because it's now bunk in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I completely cut you off. So glad to have you come on. Thank you for making me part of your Kickstarter tour,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because we're going to be talking about this in a little bit.
Yep.
And the last time you were on, we
Right.
did some get to know you questions.
Okay.
So we're not going to do the same get to know you
Oh
questions.
no,
Get
I
to know
prepared for those.
these are different. No, we're throwing curveball now. So did
Okay.
you go back and watch your first interview to see what I asked you?
No,
So
but I mean, I watched the prior interview that you had done to see what questions were
gotcha.
there.
Well,
So,
see, you're doing your research.
uh-huh.
I'll these are some different ones. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here,
Okay. All right.
because the first one is this: your company
Mm-hmm.
makes tools for both hex crawling and dungeon crawling.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at a con. You got time to play one game, and there's two tables next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's a hex crawl. The other one is a dungeon crawl. Which
Mm-hmm.
one are you going to?
So are we being locked in? Am I being locked into a room like you were going to do?
Yes, you're locked into a
Or,
room. There's no. I am unnecessarily hostile with my questions. I want an answer. Dang it!
I think I'm doing a hex crawl instead of the
I
dungeon
kind of thought
crawl.
that's where you would go,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you're a hex crawl. I have had some of the most fun with hex crawls.
Well, and I also don't like people getting too hung up on hex crawl. I mean, there's point crawl and there's
Hmm.
sandbox and everything, and I'm too wishy washy or whatever, but I'm good with all that. I look at it as kind of player driven exploration.
Cool
So,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, like old school.
Mhm.
Going back to
But
like
I
World of
mean,
Dragon.
the hexagon is the bestagon, right? So yeah.
Would you do hexagons in dungeons if you could?
Ah, well, GURPS does, right? So,
This is true. You're there.
yeah. So I don't, I mean, well, the mathiness gets a little weird. The dimensions
Yes,
get a little weird unless you squish things. So, but
we
you could,
like to squish things.
depends on how much you want to wave your hands and stuff. There's advantages and disadvantages.
There you go. All right. I mean, BattleTech uses hex, so
Mm-hmm.
that's all right. So we got a couple of comments already in chat. One is Zandalar just got his exploration
Yeah,
alert,
that's
and
right.
it's
We
awesome.
so for like the past 10 days or so, I've been shipping out. So as you recall, like early last year, we had done a Kickstarter for the first sets of so you're going to pull out your copies,
I'm
and
trying to reach it. It's right
I got
here.
mine right here. See there?
Right there,
Okay, there you
baby.
go.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
you got
There
the
we
box.
go.
Right.
You get
Okay.
and you. I got one level, and you were very kind to get me there. I have to do more stuff on camera
Pump
with
it
this
up a
stuff.
little bit. Yeah.
So
So last year we did that Kickstarter, and I was shipping out like 500 and some packages the week before Gen Con, and that was a lot of fun.
it was a
uh,
little insane. Yeah.
yeah, and then just to make it even better, so we added two more decks along the way of kind of encounters that you would have along a road trail, kind of going through some wilderness area, even though we already
Mm-hmm.
have a wilderness deck. And then strongholds is another one, and we kickstarted those as well as people could get the other ones, and they arrived at my door about 10 days ago, and so I've been shipping those out as I'm wrapping up the promotion for Rock and
For the
Roar,
other
the
one.
next project.
It never ends. It
So
never ends, man.
it's like, yeah.
And actually with me doing my Taros Vargosa campaign, I got to pull these out to use the
Mhm.
decks because they're really cool stuff.
Yeah. Andrew Shields is the writer on that, and he primary. I mean, I fill in and do bits and pieces
Mm-hmm.
here.
Well,
But
the
he's
artwork is
amazing.
gorgeous
And
too.
the art is the Forge Studios, and they did way back in the day Tollus for Monty Cook,
Uh-huh.
and he's done a Patreon for a long time with those. And then he's got actually his own Kickstarter happening right now called The Impractical Architect, where
Oh,
he's
neat.
book of ideas about what these different architectural things might be.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and so that's really cool. And then he's simultaneously doing the artwork that we'll get to for Rock and Roar. So yeah.
Cool. We are going to get to that in a
Yep.
second.
Yep.
And I do ask who does the artwork. So now we've already revealed it and ruined the question, but that's fine. I love having you on. All right. Second question for the get to know you. Kender are amazing. Agree or disagree?
I love me Dragonlance. I mean, like literally, like I was my older daughter. She's in college, and her boyfriend was reading Lord of the Rings during spring break together, and he finished that, and he's looking for something new. And I'm like, well,
Here
here's
you
my
go.
here's my annotated chronicles. Why don't you borrow that?
Here's a shelf. Have a
So
shelf of
yeah,
books.
exactly. So yeah, along with everything else I have for that matter. So yeah, I gave because that's of course what I was reading in 85, 86, 87 or
Mm-hmm.
thereabout, right? Maybe I'm off by a year there, but you get the idea.
Yep.
So yeah, so I love, but I don't know, Kinder, do I like them or not?
You've really danced around the question. It's very good.
Yeah.
They are awesome. Agree or disagree? I'm locking you in a room, man. You're not getting out.
Mm,
I really am unnecessarily hostile with these questions. It's kind of
that's
fun.
right. You got a whole nother sub channel to do here. Unnecessary hostile TTDRP interview
That
questions.
would be a good secondary channel.
Um,
I'd like that.
I'm gonna go. I'm going to go in favor of because it was something different. It was them trying to do something different with that class, if you will. So yeah,
I am pro Kender.
yeah. Well,
I mean,
and
a good Tasselhoff story,
yeah, well, and
brilliant.
it was. As I understand it anyway, you might know better than I do, but I guess Tracy Hickman didn't like the idea of thievery and thieving and stuff, and wanted to.
I didn't know that.
I think it's something along. Let's.
I would love. That's one
Don't
of my
quote me on that, even though
one of
now
my
I'm on
bucket
board.
lists.
Yeah,
One of my bucket lists. I have to
yeah.
get them on both Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman on, and just chat
Yeah,
with them.
yeah, I did do Killer Breakfast one time. Yeah, got
Yeah.
got some compliments from Tracy Hickman because he's like got something like he wanted do a strength test, and I'm like immediately I jump down and do push-ups, and he's like, okay, good form, you passed.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
For breakfast. All right.
yeah,
You've got free time at a convention, which we know is not a real thing, but you do now have free time at a convention. People want you to run a spontaneous session.
okay.
What RPG are you going to run?
I think I'm running Shadow Dark at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I think
Really? A
I,
Shadow Dark.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Why?
No, I just
What are
had
you?
that.
What,
No,
what,
no, I
what are
did.
you running?
I know. I actually, if people were spontaneous, if you're asking me, because
Yeah, exactly.
we've now done
We need to turn the tables here
we've
on.
now done role reversal. If a
Yeah.
spontaneous session, I'm going to run Streamline Superheroes
Okay. Okay.
because they can make a character in 30 seconds and then off we go and do whatever we want.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that would be that. But Shadow Dark also
Yeah.
solid answer. I love
Yeah.
Shadow Dark.
Yeah. 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 I do
Very
too.
good.
Yeah. I'm having a good time with it.
It is a lot of fun. All right,
Mhm.
you're sitting down at a table.
Mhm.
You've got chips, you got drinks. What's your ideal length for a TTRPG session?
I think I want right now my most consistent game that I'm playing in is I'm lucky, super lucky that I had reached out many years ago, and when I went full time on role playing game stuff like 12 years ago or so, um,
Uh-huh.
a little bit after. Well, it was a couple years after that. Actually, because yeah, well, that's a long story. But to make it short, I was reaching out to other people in the industry that I could kind of network with because I was, on my own, working on my own stuff and not having enough people interaction.
Right.
So I went to Kickstarter and stumbled across other successful Kickstarters that were nearby, and Mike Shea, the lazy dungeon master, happened to be near me.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so ever since then, we do lunch biweekly, and then in the past year or so, mostly because of my commitments of my kids and stuff. So in the past year now, I'm part of that group, and he runs about 3 hours. I think I'd like four.
Okay.
That's no shade on him, because he gives all he does a session that works for him.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But
But you
I
go
think I'd
for it.
like four.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think I probably more along the lines of Mike. That's okay.
Hmm.
And I everything that I've only met Mike a couple of times, but everything that I've heard of encounters with him, and he's actually one of the most genuinely kind people
Yeah, very
that you'll
kind, down to
encounter.
earth. Treats with respect, and very good.
Very good times. All right. So there's our get to know you questions. People now know you. It's for things. They know that you are
I
pro
know a few
Kender.
things. Yeah.
They know you're pro Kender. That's going to write you off to a whole swath of the
Well, I
hobby at
was
this
very
point.
waffly on the
You
answers.
were very waffly, but in the end, I could tell that you wanted to say pro Kender, and you were just afraid of the backlash is going to be. And the problem aren't Kender. The problem are people who play Kender and have main
Oh,
character syndrome. That's the
okay.
problem.
Yeah, okay.
Kender are awesome. We're going to tangents we were talking about before. All right, so let's talk about the current Kickstarter. We do have the QR code is right below your
Okay.
arm there,
Excellent. Excellent.
and the Inkwell Ideas URL is scrolling past us. So Rock and Roar,
Hmm.
it's a new bestiary, and I'm going to say it the European way because it's spelled that way, based on 80s rock.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right, like
Why?
what type of bad burrito did you eat that you came up with
Yeah.
this concept?
So the original idea, I mean, it probably has been percolating in my head for like about 2 years. And
Okay.
the original idea was just, like Billy Idol's Eyes Without a Face. And I was like, boy, that would make a pretty awesome beholder-ish monster or something,
Oh, neat. Okay.
and then then like Twisted Sisters popped into my head after that, of like looking, that would be a pretty cool creature type as well. In that case, like a corrupted nun or something like that. And then it was just like these things just kept on percolating in my head, popping up. I'm like, oh my god, I could make a monster out of that song or that band name or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And it was just calling to me as something different, something, we haven't done a project like this. Of course, we're most famous for probably Worldographer
Yep.
slash hexographer, Dungeonmorph Dice, and cards and such,
Yeah.
and the side quest stuff, and now hexplorations as well. But this is me doing something that's more content,
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
that, so yeah.
Yeah. Is this your first book?
So for the Dungeon Morphs, we've done a couple of books that
Okay.
give you ideas about what might be in each of the locations. So we've
Gotcha.
done that, but this is the first book of this type or something. Yeah. And it's one of the few things that are system specific. In
Yeah, because
this,
everything else is more generic. Yeah.
yeah, everything else is very system neutral. I mean, we did some cards a long while back for other game systems, but this is the first time that we're doing, in this case, it'll be two different books, one with all the stats done for Shadow Dark, and the other one with all the stats done for Old School Essentials, so you
Yeah.
can get all your BX and anything that's close to it as well.
That will fit just about everything.
Hmm.
All right. So I have to drop this in here because it is apropos that you are doing 80s music
Hmm.
as your creature because you have a direct connection
Yeah, and I don't,
to
we
80s
didn't talk in
music.
the pre-show. If you, I mentioned it in our notes beforehand.
We've talked about this before
Okay, so
personally,
we
so I
have.
want to hear about the story. Yeah. But
Okay, yeah.
everybody else needs to know it.
Yeah, everybody else needs. So it is very apropos that for like 19 years, starting in college in like 1995, the internet was all brand new and interesting, and there, a lot of things didn't have websites for them at the time. I mean, sure, IBM had a website and so
Right.
forth, but a lot of things didn't. And I was like, hey, this is really cool. What's something out there that doesn't have a website that I'm interested in? And it was July 5th because I was happened to be watching Entertainment Tonight, and they had the birthdays of who was born on July 5th. And Huey Lewis is born on July 5th.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, is there a website for that? No, there's not. Okay, let me start one. And so I started one. And about 3 4 months later, a couple of the band members started emailing me and saying, hey, we like the website, we like what you're doing, keep it up. And then about a year later, they hadn't been in concert near me, so I was like, hey, you guys are doing 4 shows or 5 shows in Vegas. I'm thinking about going out. And I knew some other people back in the day before
Uh-huh.
Discord. You probably know this. There was IRC,
Yeah.
before
Oh,
Google
internet
Chats and all
relay
that kind of
chat,
stuff. There
baby.
was
Yeah.
IRC. That's right. So there was an 80s music chat group there that I was got into, and a few of us from that chat group decided, hey, we want to go to these concerts. So we all went to these concerts together. And so I let the band know, and they said, yeah, okay, we'll hook you up. And so they gave me a bunch of passes for myself and a bunch of those friends. And
Oh, that's awesome.
so they knew, one of the guys knew them already from some other stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, so we went and did all that. And since then I'd seen, well, so I kept doing the website until like 2014 or so. I was just at that point, Inkwell was taking off, as
Right.
well as my kids were at that point were like elementary school, and
Hmm.
a day job. I was still doing the day job at the time, so it was kind of like, okay, well, something has to drop. So I kind of dropped doing the website, but I've stayed in touch with them, and caught, like, most recently, 2 years ago. Oh, that was me. 2 years ago, yeah, 2 years ago, I had seen, they did a musical on Broadway.
Yeah.
I caught up with them for that, so that was good.
Oh, that's cool. Do they have an entry in the book?
There it's I don't have. There's not many not many of their songs translate to monster concepts.
This is kind of true.
Hip to be
Yeah.
square. I want a new drug. Heart of rock and roll. Now, Heart of rock and roll is on the candidate list as a
Okay.
possible magic item. That there might be something that I
That
could
actually
do
would be
that.
pretty cool.
There could be something I could do with that. But at the moment, they don't have any creatures at the moment. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, they are.
And I should say
They're
that all of this is unofficial. The band and any of these bands have. In fact, I did reach out to my IP lawyer, and have he
to
crafted
make
a little bit
sure
of a
we're not
disclaimer that we're we're not stepping on toes, and that he has an opinion ready to go about why we're okay. So,
homages are legal. We're all right
well,
here.
if you think about it, I mean, like, they're, Garbage Pail Kids from back in the
Yeah,
day. Now, they did get sued, but their
they
trade
won.
dress was that they lost. They had to
Oh, did they
trade.
lose? Okay.
They had to change their trade dress in order
Oh,
to.
because they basically you could
Yeah,
mistake one for the
yeah,
other. No one's mistaking this for
right, yeah.
an
And
actual.
we're in a different domain, and
Yeah,
there's a bunch of other
you're
things like
you're
that. So,
pretty good. I think
yeah,
you're okay.
yeah,
All right. So in this book, because 80s music is all over the place, is there a
yeah.
particular genre that you're focusing on, or are you just doing wide
Yeah,
spectrum
so,
80s?
so I'm not focused on 80s even. We are
Okay.
doing quite a bit from the 70s, quite a bit, maybe a touch maybe from the 60s. I mean, we do have, like, a Yardbird, which is
Okay.
the Led Zeppelin's prior name to that is the Yardbirds, and so we have a
Gotcha.
Yardbird. For example, we have Bricks in the Wall to bring up 70s.
Okay.
There is quite a bit of 80s. And then there's a touch of 90s. It's my interest, obviously, from the band that I was doing the website for, is very poppy.
Okay.
However, a lot of this stuff is definitely very metal, and this has definitely expanded my appreciation for hard rock metal, and other adjacent things as well. Yeah.
All right. We got a
Yeah.
super chat from Agile Monk.
Okay.
Thank you, Agile Monk. You're very kind. If you make a map with Worldographer, then what do you put in your own product as a map for that product to sell commercially?
So if the question is, can we, can somebody publish maps made with Worldographer? If that's the question,
Yeah.
um, so there is a fact on that. Basically, it comes down to yes, you can. Now, of course, if you remake Middle Earth, well, somebody
You're
else
on
might
your
have
own.
a problem
Yes.
with you,
Yeah.
or anybody can, and also the caveat of anybody can try to sue anybody for anything.
Correct.
But we don't. We have we just ask for a credit, and that's in our fact page. So
So you have
that's
specific verbiage that you asked to put on,
you
or
know there might be on there, but I mean we're not that picky. It's just, hey, map, something like map or icons, because some people might use our icon packs without using Worldographer. So
right?
one or the other, but made with Worldographer or made with Worldographer's icon packs and
Gotcha.
that sort of thing. So yeah.
Awesome. Good question, Am. All right. So, are you writing these creatures up, or is this a
So
collaborative effort? Collaborative
it's a
effort.
collaborative thing. I mentioned on the hexploration decks, Andrew Shields did the primary work on the hexploration decks. For Rock and Roar, it is primarily me, and then Andrew's filling and doing some stuff and doing some, and then adding some commentary on what I do. But I just find that for these, I've got a very specific idea in mind. So.
Okay. I
Mhm.
mean, they all came from your head, and Algermon can't find the fact page.
Okay, well, let me
So
maybe in the notes after this, so I can look that up
put
and
it in. We'll throw
yeah,
it in there for
all
you,
right, yeah,
or I can throw it in the Discord, which is
okay,
also good because he's one of my members.
okay, all right,
Would be good. All right, so I'm going to take us over to the Kickstarter, or not the Kickstarter, to the slideshow, because you sent me a couple of pages,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
So
these things are terrifying.
this was fun. 867 of 5309 was I did actually get to meet Alex Call briefly because he had done some work for Huey Lewis and the News. He
Oh,
wrote
okay.
some stuff for them, and Alex Call is one of the two writers of 867 5309. So I mean, not that he would remember me or anything. I mean, it was a
Uh-huh.
10-minute conversation backstage, 15 years ago or whatever. So but yeah.
So I have this is my question, because a lot of the moves
Uh-huh.
that they have, you actually took like lyrics from the song and made them into the
Yeah,
like,
so it runs the gamut. There are some that don't do that at all,
and some that
and then
do.
there's some that do a little bit, and then one. Have we shown the one you pointed out
The
before?
invisible touch.
Invisible
I
touch?
don't know, because it was
There
the
we go. There's
double
invisible
spread.
touch.
Here it is.
This one is
This thing is terrifying, and I'm not going to sleep tonight. Thank you.
it leans in so heavily to the lyrics of reach right in and grab your heart and tear you apart. Like those are
Yeah,
three of the
slowly
powers.
tear you apart.
Reach in and grab your heart and tear you apart are three of the powers that it happens to have. On the other hand, legs that we're seeing there, we can't do anything specifically with the
Yeah.
lyrics of legs. So that's really just about the legs of a spider kind of thing. So yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's crazy. You guys can see the layout and
Yeah, the other
the
thing I'm
the
trying to do is I'm really
stress.
trying to play with the layout in a lot of these where that shocker monkey kind of shows the trees on each side, and then we've got the text in the middle, or bricks in the wall. I didn't share that one with you, but shown it elsewhere. Bricks in the wall, like
Okay.
the page is a wall of large bricks, and then the text is on the different bricks. So just
Did you
trying to.
have that at Page? Because I think you had a
Yeah, I
notebook
did.
at
I did
Page.
have that at page. Yeah.
So I did see that. So I
Hmm.
mean, look at these. The artwork is cool. I'm so all over the place with my questions right now, but this is so much fun. So, like, how, when you were making the moves for these
Yeah.
creatures, like, how did the process work? So we just saw Invisible Touch again, which is the most terrifying thing I've seen in like the last 6 months. Thank you so much. There literally should be a trigger warning on
Yeah,
that
my
page. So
my older daughter, who I mentioned already, she's got an issue with spider. Like if I would live near her college, I'd probably be called over to kill a
to
spider
kill the
because
spider, my
it's
daughter
happened in
would
the
do that.
house for sure.
Oh my gosh. So that's the idea. Um, how do you get the process of like, here, this would make a good move for this
Yeah,
creature?
I wish
Like, how do you turn
uh,
invisible
invisible touch.
touch
Yeah,
literally into the
you
stuff of like Cthulhu horror?
yeah, you just let the idea percolate, and you're like, what, brainstorm a few ideas. I wish I had something to.
It's just that you're wired weird and that comes out.
Yeah, well, you know, I will say I have discovered, not so much for this project, but well, maybe a few of them, but definitely for prior projects. Well, there is that joke about Schenectady. You know, where do your ideas come from? And one of the science fiction writers joked about Schenectady. There's a mailbox in Schenectady or something. But for me, I found that I get disturbing visions in my dreams if I have chocolate ice cream before bed.
Really?
Yeah, really.
So this is all thanks to like, Breyer's all natural chocolate ice cream.
I've had, you know, I've definitely have noticed that that I, yeah, if I have chocolate ice cream before bed, then I will have a dream of something that I can use in whatever I'm working on.
That is one of the most awesome and
Bizarre, yeah.
strangest things I've ever heard in my life. That's awesome, Joe. That's like, I know what my muse is. Give me that double chocolate chunk. Let's go. Let's have some
And
fun.
it's a great excuse to have ice cream. I
Yeah,
mean, come on.
seriously. I'm working.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
All right. So I know that we're not concentrating totally on the 80s, although a lot of the
yeah.
pages that I saw were
Right.
80s.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's this neat kismet.
Yeah, it is, and
It
I mean, because when I started playing, you know, because I, you know, answered in round one of getting to know you, you know, I was that kid on Stranger Things playing in the basement in 83,
yeah.
84,
Oh
your
yeah.
friend's house kind of thing. And you know, we had a lot of these songs playing in the background as we're playing. With myself and the other kings of Albert Road, where I grew up.
But
We
here's my
ran that
question.
street, dude, you know, that
Oh,
little
yeah, of
dead end
course.
street, we ran it. Yeah.
People do not understand
Yeah.
that the most realistic thing about Stranger Things was that the kids are just riding their bikes all over town.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
that's how I
Definitely.
lived.
I definitely, yep. Yep.
Um, but this is my interesting thing because you're concentrating on the 80s, and
Yeah.
there's this neat overlap here. Because looking at the artwork in the slideshow, you went for that mid 80s, like, real awesome contrast, black and white line art for the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're handling music from an era that was like, there was a lot of glam rock. There was a whole lot of fluorescent, especially when you get into the 80s, and like big wild
hmm
makeup. So
hmm
was there any part of you or any moment of the development where you're like, let's go for the rock colorization of stuff rather than the TTRPG colorization of stuff? Or was it always just like, no, we're going for this because that's the
Yeah. It was always just
TTRPG?
going for that. I really hadn't considered, I don't know, maybe version two down the road, you know.
Well, you might have gotten yelled at. So that,
Okay.
because
All right.
because Bob Worldbuilder put out a Shadow Dark thing, and it's got color in it, and people are
Uh,
actually we're like actually angry at him.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I certainly did know that I was doing this for OSC and for Shadow Dark, and
Yeah.
OSC does have a little bit of, you know, spot color and so forth. But we definitely do have primarily the black and white art. So I mean, of course, I totally was. I think in the promo graphic that I had given you that you were using for teasing this,
Uh-huh.
I definitely had grabbed the exact color combination of Def Leppard's Hysteria album, you know, for the exact blue or the exact red and yellow that they were using. So, uh,
Who was their mascot was Eddie. Was that Iron Maiden or Death Leopard?
I do not know of an Eddie.
He
Yeah,
was the guy is like he got the weird his brain was hanging out, and
it might have been. That might have. Maybe that was Iron
that
Maiden. You
might have been
know,
Iron
as
Maiden.
as we said, my back in the day, especially
You're more
my
poppy.
I am definitely more poppy now. I definitely have gotten. I get the whole metal a whole lot and the hard rock a whole lot more now.
Okay.
I understand it better, I think, and it's definitely very rich with a lot of things that we can use
Uh-huh.
for this project for sure. But yeah, so knowing who the mascots were or who, you know, something like that. No, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I have literally we went the opposite direction because I've gone to the point where I'm now Huey Lewis in
Okay.
Back to the Future going, it's just too darn loud. Can we
That's
just
right.
make it a little quiet?
That's right.
I'm old now.
Yeah.
All right. we've talked about invisible touch. Please put a trigger warning on that page. Like literally, please put a trigger. It's because the thing is awesome, but it just has to be like, if you don't like spiders, just flip, go to the next page, because you will never sleep
Yeah,
again.
and then watch the next page is going to be legs with that spider anyway. So
And this one too. Just keep going. Although the legs isn't, it doesn't have that.
okay,
That's like giant
I
thing
think
with
I think
legs.
that
It's
part of the issue with invisible touch is that it's a hand, you know, it's like two hands
yes,
kind of put together as well, and so that
yes.
anthropomorphism or whatever is part of the issue. Yeah,
It's disturbing.
it is disturbing.
Yes. I mean, there's something wrong with you. Thank you. Like that one stuck with me when I read. I was like, I will never use this, but holy smokes, is that awesome? Because I would be too freaked out to try to role play it. All right. So all this cool artwork we're watching. I mean, look at the Riders in the Sky. That thing is gorgeous. And
Mhm.
I love that you went with the 80s line art because that's my favorite artwork. Who's doing the artwork for this book?
Yeah, so this is the Forge Studios, like we said, and
Yep.
I unfortunately would butcher his name, but I guess I'll try. Maciek Zagorski is his name, and he's in Poland. And as I said, he did the Tollus stuff for
Uh-huh.
Monty Cook Games, and he's been running his own Patreon under the Forge Studios for many years, for probably 7, 8, 10 years, something like that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Cool. It is really cool
It
stuff.
is. I mean, it's always fun to see him bringing, sending stuff back over to me. And he's done also on his own Kickstarter, like I said. So he's got something called Impractical Architect, which is kickstarting right now as well. So you can look that up. And he's got a couple of speed draws of him, as he's drawing these. So I mean,
Oh,
it's
awesome.
it's him drawing it at his normal speed, which
But
is
he speeds it up,
relatively
yeah.
quick, and then he speeds it. Yeah, right. So.
It's like our
Mhm.
and almost nowadays, like you have like the artists have to do that to
And
keep
that's
them
why I
with
say that.
AI.
Yeah, you have to kind of prove yourself a little bit, and I mean, in his case, like I said, since he's been in the industry for 25 years, it's less of a concern, but it's just darn cool anyway. I mean, I
It's
think all these
so
artists should do it. I
to
mean, even if
watch the
they're only going to get,
process.
yeah, even if they're only going to get a handful of people watching any given one. I don't know. Well, I don't want to.
I mean, they have to make
I
it
think a lot
anyway
of artists
because
should make it
yeah,
make
well, they have to make it anyway because so many people are demanding that they do it. So
right,
go
right.
through. Have you hit any of those problems yet of people trying to pass AI artwork off to
Uh,
you?
no, because I haven't been trying to seek out new artists in the past few years. I mean, I'll get a few people coming by at conventions and such and ask
Okay.
and showing a portfolio, or at least a few pictures, and then they want to leave a card, and that's great. They do so, and um, then the problem is, though, I don't have anything active at the moment, and then when I
Right.
do, then anyway, point being is that they should kind of reach out periodically and check in and say, hey, it's been 2 months since I reached out, and you said you were interested, and would you
You got
do
anything?
anything currently, but regardless, like I said, I haven't been, because back in the day, I mean, we did a whole deck of monster cards for 5e where we did all the SRD monsters,
Oh wow. Okay.
and that was in, well, even before we did it with Pathfinder, even too,
Hmm.
um, in 2010 or 2011, and then we re-released it for 5e in 2015, like once the SRD had come out for
Oh
5e,
wow. Okay.
and so we have, I had so many artists that I had been working with regularly. In fact, I mean, it's kind of fun because we have a few folks. Yeah. Oh well, let me wrap up
Yeah.
that
Go. Go.
part.
Go.
Part of the thing is just that I can lean back to those and those folks, and many of them are still doing stuff. So I don't need to find somebody new, and so I don't have those concerns about those folks if they're doing AI or not.
Right.
And then but I mean, if I was reaching out to somebody new, I would want, at
Like
least a series of give me the whole maybe not necessarily a video that's sped up, that would probably be preferred, but at least give me, here's sketch phase, here's, line art, here's
Yeah.
inks, and and so that I could see that, because I, from some limited videos that I've seen, I've seen that AI has some difficulty going back and making a sketch out of something that it's made, or vice
Yeah,
versa.
Stephen Glicker had a
Yeah,
lot
that's
of
that's
people
what I was
trying that. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I was going to say, yeah, because it's nice that some of these folks. I mean, like one guy, Jason Rainville. I'll just hold up a card to the camera. So this is my
Aw.
younger daughter when she was many, many, many years ago. 14 years ago, probably thereabouts. Yeah. 12 or 13 years ago, that's her. And then he goes on, and he did the cover for D&D's Mordenkainians, and
Okay.
for Theros, and I'm sure a bunch of other stuff. And then there's another guy, Forrest Immel, that I worked with a while back, and he did Magic the Gathering cards recently, or not,
Oh,
not
cool.
even
Okay.
recently. Like I found him. He was still in high school. Like I had to have his dad or his mom or dad sign off on the paperwork for the rights and stuff to make sure that's all okay. And then I go, yeah, it was funny because I go and reach back out to him like 2 years later for some new art, and he gives me a price like 10 times what he charged before. And I purposely, like, when he first gave me his first quote, I'm like, okay, the lowest anybody else is taking is this, so I'm going to give you that. I
Okay.
didn't want
Okay.
him to undervalue himself. But then when he comes back, and I thought that I offended him or something, I thought he was giving me a price that's like, I never want to work with you again, but if you're willing to. And then later, like it took me years later, like 5 or 7 years later, I found out, oh, he had been doing Magic the Gathering stuff, so that was just his regular rate now.
Because he had arrived. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. And good for him. So yeah,
We don't want to
right.
art is valuable. All right, we do have another super chat. I want to put you on the spot,
Okay.
but Agile Monk is asking you for one more for Joe. I need a sample example maps made for a book I'm releasing, a demo, a hex crawl map and point crawl map. Would you take a commission?
I pro- I probably would not. I could certainly point you to people that would, or I mean, also, I mean, I think that for, uh, well, we've got so many different icon sets that are available to just kind of stamp things out. Whether you're using Worldographer or something else. I mean, we did a Hexlands project with the hexploration cards
Yeah.
when that was out, and that's just a website that you can go to, and it's using Dyson's artwork, Dyson Logos, who we've had a long relationship with him too, for that matter, going back to 2010, I guess, with the Dungeonmorphs.
Stuff is awesome.
I mean, that was the Dungeonmorphs are his concept, his format for the dungeons with the 10 by 10
Yep.
with the two entrances and stuff, and so I totally. Oh, so yeah, we've got that. Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but it's back. So we have this Hexlands web app, and then but the art is available too on drive through from us. But I've got.
Do you know anybody who's doing commissioned artwork or
Uh,
maps using Worldographer?
yeah, I mean, we've got Worldographer. We have our Discord that you could drop a note in there, and there's a couple of people that are actively looking for work. So if you went to worldographer.com and go and look for the forum link there, it's actually a link to our Discord, which is a text. Or it's an image of the link, because I'm paranoid about bots and spam and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
you have to kind of look at and type it in yourself to get onto our Discord.
Not anymore. You just take a picture and
Probably,
copy it
yeah,
in.
it's very possible. So so that would I could, once you got onto there, then we could point you to some folks that could help out.
So there you go, Monk. Hop on their Discord and they will
Yeah,
definitely they'll be able to point you in a good way for that, because there's folks looking for stuff.
yeah.
And then Joe can point you to the ones who are actually worth paying. But he's not going to say that online, because he doesn't want to insult everybody else who's a customer. And Agile Monk is on your Patreon, is also a customer, so he's not looking for freeloading. He wants to pay someone, which is cool.
Uh-huh.
And you do need to join his Discord,
Hmm.
because it's a good spot. All right. Again, this is freaky and it's terrifying, and I don't even have the Twisted Sister one up there, which is bizarre, or the Iron Maiden, which is also bizarre. But that stupid invisible touch is giving me nightmares. And I leave it there because it's so freaking cool. this thing is funded.
Yeah. Yep.
When is the campaign closing?
So yeah, we close on Wednesday evening, I think 10 o'clock Eastern, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so one of the things I've been trying to do, we got funded on day one, I believe. Yeah, day one. We got funded on day one, and the way that you know, uh, running Kickstarters and managing Kickstarters and everything like that is a whole science and everything. The way I do it is I look at it as, I have upfront costs where I'm paying to do the sample artwork and the
Yeah.
writing and so forth like that, and I just look at it as the goal is going to be how much do I need to finish, to pay for the remaining artwork and writing and to do a minimal print run. It might be print on demand because it's so minimal, or it might be print on or just a print run of like 100 copies or something.
Right.
And that's where I set the price, because when you're running a Kickstarter, you want to be seen as successful, so that when people on week two look, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is funded and people are
Yeah.
excited about it. Versus, oh, what's wrong with that?
Like, why isn't anybody doing this? Yeah.
Right. So you want to be successful. So that's the way. And if it's not successful, that tells you something. I mean, we had an early Kickstarter that didn't fund, and that it's worthwhile anyway. It's worth knowing that the market's not there, because then you do something that's going to be more rewarding and
Gotcha.
or profitable. You want that good combination of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to keep doing this, and you want to do something that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, so yeah, we funded on day one. And then what I do is I try to keep the excitement going by making the project better for everybody, by doing stretch goals that won't cost you any more. For the most, occasionally there might be something that pops up where we'll say we're going to add a whole nother deck, but it's only going to be $5 more to do it.
Yeah.
So we've done that in the past. But with this, it's really just, hey, if we hit another $500, we're going to do, 3 or 4 more pages, and we're going to do 4 more monsters, or we're going to do 8
Yep.
more magic items, or whatever, fitting that theme. And you're going to get it at no extra cost. I mean, I guess if you're doing the print on demand, you're going to pay an extra 5 cents for 2 more pieces of paper, but
Yeah.
that's the gist of it. Yeah.
So, what are some of the coolest stretch goals? Because you did do some cool ones. What's your favorite of the stretch goals that you added for this project?
It really is something where I'm enjoying all of them. I mean, people are voting. People voted for having extra monsters.
Okay.
People voted for having the magic. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, well, actually, I did send you, but maybe you didn't queue it up there. I sent you some of the magic items that we've got.
Did
So
I get? I might have
yeah,
missed that one. I'm
or
sorry.
no, maybe maybe I
You might have. It might have been the double spread, and I couldn't
yeah,
fit it in the window
yeah.
there. So,
So yeah, that's right. It was a 2 pager for that. So I had a lot of fun with the magic items. There's one like Rolling Stones was always something that was probably the first magic item that I thought of, where it's like just a pouch of pebbles, but you throw them and they turn into boulders, and everybody has to make reflex checks or whatever to get out of
love it.
the way. So I loved doing the magic items. I think complete what makes it the most complete is the fact that we've got some mini quests in there now. That wasn't something we launched, and I hadn't even thought about that.
Oh, okay.
And so now we hit 2 stretch goals to do two mini quests each, where each quest is going to be a spread or two, so 2 to 4 pages each.
Nice.
And so you're going to have, and it will use a bunch of the creature. Each one will use a bunch of the creatures from the books. So that was a lot of fun to do it and add, and I just think it makes it so much more complete. And we had a lot of fun with this setting map. I should have sent you that too, but I shared it previously in promos and stuff, where
Yeah.
it's basically as an homage to fantasy maps. It is Australia upside down, right? and and it's got locations like there's the Fields of Gold, and there's the Stairway to Heaven, and there's Northern Town, and there's Small Town, and so it was just there's the jungle is Jungle Love, etc. So it's a lot of fun to do that.
That's always fun. I'm looking forward to getting this in my hand. How are you doing this? Is it going to be a POD, or are you doing offset print for this?
So there's options. There's a POD option for you, and then there is a we'll print it and get it sent to you. I think that we are at the point. I never spelled it out what we're going to do. It kind of comes down to the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that we're at a point now where it makes sense for us to do the offset version. So,
Okay, cool.
mhm.
That should be fun. Now you have, I'm going to give you a good 30 seconds before we switch on to regular Inkwell Idea stuff. Do
Okay.
your elevator pitch. Why should people fund this or back this in the last 30 or so hours?
Well, yeah. So you want to fund this to make it better for yourself and for everybody else. I mean, like I said, we're doing all these stretch goals still. We're going to add a whole bunch of cool stuff. And I mean, even if you don't, one of the best comments that I got, this was on EN World, but one of the best comments I got was that these are really interesting monsters that they could use in a campaign, whether it's 80s music themed or not. But yeah, if you're of a certain age, this is hopefully right up your alley.
The nostalgia will hit hard
Yeah.
if you are of a certain age. And if you're not,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. And you just said hit hard. That just reminded me. I mean, the video, I am so proud. That was also something we didn't plan to do any video. And then literally 2 nights before we were going to launch, I just had this idea. It popped into my head, and I'm like, reached out to Keith Curtis, who does a lot of the icon artwork for Worldographer for us, and he's got he does a lot of theater as well. I said, "Hey, can you record this for me?" And so we totally riff off the Freedom Rock commercial, late night commercial for.
It's
Yeah,
Freedom Rock, man.
yeah.
We'll
So
turn
literally,
it
it's like,
up, man.
exactly. It's like, hey man, what you got there? Oh, it's rock and roar. Oh, it is. Oh yeah, it's awesome. I'm so proud of the video.
That needs to be a meme all by itself. You should just have that running at your booth, like just on a loop. Like, turn it
Unfor-
up, man.
well, yeah. Unfortunately, unfortunately, booth rules at most conventions don't allow for. I guess there's limited volume, but you can't be too loud with your.
Listen, for the people walking by the booth, if you
Yeah.
just show the image, they'll be like, "Oh my
That's true. Yeah, if
gosh."
we put in right now, the video doesn't do an image of it, and it's just the voiceover, and then we show there's the main project graphic, and then we do the scrolling of the different songs that we're using for the different monsters with art in the background. So unfortunately, we're not using the two hippie folks, but
I
maybe.
miss those old cheesy commercials. And before you mentioned, I like literally had forgotten about the Freedom Rock commercials. But
It's
just we'll turn it up,
yeah,
man.
exactly.
Freedom Rock. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody go back this. You'll get the link is going to be on the other screen that we go to right now. But this is Rock and Roar is really cool. I backed it as soon as the thing jumped out. And it helped because you were showing me
Yeah.
pages
Yeah.
at page at you didn't show me any at GameholeCon or PAX Unplugged, and I was upset with you. But it was still not
Yeah,
unveiled yet.
yeah, I'm still kind
So
of like, is this something I really want to do? How do I feel about putting this all out there? So, yeah.
so this Joe teased me at GameholeCon. My one time I get to GameholeCon, I can get a scoop. I got something I'm working on. I can't show it to you. I'm like, dang it. I'll show it to you at PAX Unplugged. Walk up to Joe at PAX Unplugged. No, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Well,
You're coming on channel.
good things come to all those who wait. Right?
Wait.
Yeah.
And then you showed me at Page, and I was blown away because that was really cool. I
Mhm.
loved it. All right,
Well, and
let's.
part of it is like, you just don't know if am I just funny to myself or
Yes.
there's that too.
Like, is this only? Am
It's-
I the only one who's going to get this? That's what
yeah,
I want to. No, this is a really cool product, Joe. It's a neat idea.
cool.
And for like anybody who's like 60 and under, who's still even older than that,
Hmm.
who's still playing, it's just me like, yeah, I want this now. Let's play. My daughter loves 80s rock.
Hmm.
So she'll be like, "Oh, Iron Maiden, yes, let's use that." Because she literally be like, "What do we need?" Like we would go down the shore, be like, "We need montage music," and she would just play 80s music driving down the shore. Like, okay, I raised
You
you
taught
right.
her well.
I taught her well. That makes me happy. All right, let's talk about further or the broader Inkwell Ideas universe right now because I
Okay.
have and Agile Monk's been talking about it. He did find the fact, by the way.
Yeah. Excellent.
Um, I have always had my eye on Worldographer because that style of map is something that's always fixed in my head.
And I
One of
know
these
you're
days
having
I'm actually.
trouble with it, yeah, because I'm now using a Mac as my primary.
Is it
I
working
told
for
you,
you?
oh yeah, I flip between the Windows box and a MacBook
Okay.
every
So
so many years.
I'm diving
Now,
back in.
yeah,
I'm diving back in. So one of these days I'm just picking up the whole suite because I want the cities. I want to play with the city map.
yeah.
Um so but you were telling me there's some updates that are coming out for us. So what are some things that are coming out for Worldographer in the
Yeah.
near future?
So for Worldographer, I'm now that for a while we were driving towards having that big update in 2025 for Worldographer. So I was pretty focused on that and doing a lot of behind the scenes infrastructure changes to it, as well as adding new features and kind of tweaking and improving the UI. So that's where pretty much all of 2025 went into doing that. But then once that came out, I was like, okay, I finally wanted to get back to using our Patreon to really channel what people want to see added to it.
Okay.
And so we started again. We restarted doing our poll of what features do people want to see added to the program. Um, and through that we did there's a hex measuring tool popped up, like to count the distances,
Oh,
where
neat. Okay.
you can click a hex and then you can hover over, and wherever your mouse is, it's giving you the distance between those. We're going to do like the current thing that I'm working on literally at the moment is an ability to do curved labels to kind of give you that
Oh.
functionality, and drop shadows were something I added in the prior month as well. So we're looking at that as a way to kind of help people to drive what our monthly update will be, and there will be at least one, maybe two or three features each month.
Oh, wow.
In addition to the Patreon has consistently, thanks to Keith Curtis, like I said, he mentioned him with doing the voiceover for
Uh-huh.
our video. But I work with him to put out 100 new icons fitting a different theme each month. So this month coming up is going to be BattleTech, actually. So we're going to do hex, yeah, giving you a set of tiles for BattleTech, and um, I, I hope I can commit to this. We'll see. But
Okay.
what I want to do is I made that Hexlands web app previously, so you don't have to download anything. You don't have to. You just go to a web page and it's right there, and you can create
It
a little
it
world
works
map.
surprisingly well too.
Yeah. So what I want to do with the BattleTech thing is I want to just have it generate a BattleTech scenario map for you, and then you can export it to PDF, and it will span across, hey, 5 pages or 8 pages or whatever is needed to print your map at 1-inch hexes and so forth. So
Oh, wow.
and it will use these icons as part of that to kind of give you a really sharp looking BattleTech map, and it will be editable as well. So it'll
Yeah.
generate one for you, and then you can say, no, I wanted more hills over here or whatever. So
Oh,
I don't know
so
if I'll
cool.
get that. I probably won't get that done this month, in addition to everything else. But it'll be something that we'll use those icons that come out this month and start working on it, and then probably finish it up in the next month.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So for folks who don't know Worldographer, first off, you should.
Oh, yeah.
Um, one of the cool things, and it can be a little bit intimidating because I know that's one of the reasons why you wanted to improve the UI a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like the level of detail. So I'm going to put a city here, and then you double click, and it's got a population of shops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how does all that get generated? Like you just have do you have algorithms built in? You
Right.
just rate
Yeah.
it on
No,
city size? Like what's going on?
it's just all heuristics, all charts, and what seem, giving some calculating some random values from some charts and so forth, so that uh, it is all, I actually did specialize in AI and computer science at Georgia Tech when I was there, but that was 1997 when I graduated. So it is not anything LLM. It's nothing. And I didn't keep up with any of that. Although I did stumble across a computer and algorithms class being taught there that I was like, oh, okay, I want to see how much of this I actually still know. um, but because my also proud dad. My younger daughter, I've already mentioned a couple of times, so she got accepted there. She's not sure if she wants to go there yet.
Okay.
It's not all things for all people, but she got accepted there and also got a scholarship offer there. So that's new today. So
Oh,
I'm
is she
glowing.
graduating this year?
Yeah, she's graduating this year, so I'm
Awesome.
glowing. If you can't tell.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, but there's still a chance that she'll get an offer from somewhere else that she'd prefer to go, and I'll totally understand that. But for the moment, I can bask in the glow that my alma mater is her current top choice.
There you go. You could bet like, and you'll be totally okay with that as you cry in the bathroom later on. It's
Right?
fine.
Yeah.
They're totally fine with all of that. But it's such a neat it's such a neat setup that you could go through and it's just got all this detail.
Yeah, yeah. So bringing it back to Worldographer, yeah, and
Yeah.
you can have multiple tabs. So you can like say, hey, um, here's my world map or a continent map or whatever kingdom map, and then you can say, hey, here's a city, and you can go to generate a city, and you can say, well, my city is on the coast and it's the left coast or whatever, and so you can set it up so it will generate a city map with a coast towards the left, and then
So
it
it'd
will
be like
generate it.
you can drill in constantly, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
really nice. I love cool things of being able to do the generate the coastline,
Mm-hmm.
which is really a nice
And then it's
feature.
all editable because it's not going to come with if you have something specific in mind that you really wanted to match this, then well of course you can tweak all
Hmm.
those
You
lines.
can draw the river paths and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really cool stuff. And if you like hex map style,
Hmm.
that's the Cadillac of the app for
Hmm.
you. I think I asked you this at Page.
Okay.
Is there any movement to getting the uh, the hexploration tiles
Yeah,
into Worldographer?
I definitely want to do that. I definitely could see doing it. At the moment, there's not, but I definitely think I could put that in as an option on the Patreon, for example, and
Hmm.
this way here we could, and people can say, hey, because we do have the concept of hexploration and creating what do I call it? Oh gosh, you can right click on a hex and
Uh-huh.
you can have it generate. I think it might be generate hexploration details or something like that. So you can right click a hex and there's a little pop up that will appear, and so you can
Okay.
pick that option. Like I said, something like generate hex details or something, and then it will generate. It'll look through a random set of charts of what kinds of things to add. And it will give you a little note with a title and some details, and it might be a little village, and it will tell you the how old the village is and what the main building might be and how many people are there and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Or it could be there's a monster layer here, and it will tell you what type of monster and maybe some detail about that. So
It's
that's there already.
right.
So I could
So
see,
bringing over the whole suite of the
yeah,
cards, yeah.
I could see definitely bolstering that with the additional detail.
Be cool stuff. I just love the art style of the tiles.
Yeah,
The art is such a cool style. Very, very impressive. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah.
And King Eric wants to know: are the charts for your stuff shareware, and do they fit? And he meant a 3.5 inch floppy. Thanks. This is Eric.
I, I,
He likes
I,
to ask the crazy questions.
I do still have like about 53.5 inch floppies in a closet somewhere. Uh, but
I have a USB A 3.5 inch floppy drive in my
oh
closet.
yeah, okay, all right.
Why
Well,
do you
yeah,
have
that's
this?
probably
Because
you never know.
you never know.
Well, I was just, I was just like literally, again, not to talk too much about my daughter going to my alma mater, but
You can talk all you want
I
about that stuff.
found, I found a picture of her in a cheerleader outfit when she was, 3 years old, and it's in a photo album, and the back of the photo album has all the photos on a CD, and it's like, okay, which computer do I still have that has a CD drive on
Yeah,
it?
I have one of those USB ones too.
Yeah, right.
The
So
CD, yeah.
I need that. Yeah, I need that.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. So you've also got some out of print items that are coming back. What is about to return to the Inkwell Ideas
Oh
catalog?
yeah, well, so I don't know what's next because I mean, I gave I overshared maybe but that's fine. Uh, so what's coming back in? So one of the things that's been on the radar for a while is to revisit the Dungeon Morph stuff, the Dungeon Morph
Hmm.
dice, and the tiles have been out of print for a while. So we made some 10-inch by 10-inch thick cardstock, dry erasable tiles
Oh,
out
neat.
of the Dungeon Morphs, and we never did the original set in this format, and the other two sets were have been out of print for well over a year, probably two.
Okay.
And so, perhaps doing a Kickstarter to see is there interest. And this is one of those things where if the Kickstarter doesn't succeed, well, that just tells me, okay, well,
People don't want it. Okay.
yeah, well, I mean, plenty of people come up to me at a convention and say, "Hey, do you still have those?" Because we would sell them at other conventions in the past. But you never know, is that people just being polite, or because people also, yeah, is it people being polite, or is there genuine interest? And is there genuine interest when it's like, hey, well, it'll be $60 for the pack? I mean, now it is 45 heavy cardstock 10-inch by
Yeah.
10-inch things, so that's not outside the bounds of what's reasonable.
Hmm.
But so putting the Kickstarter you know lets me go out there and say, okay, well, here it is if you're really interested. And if you're not, if it doesn't fund, well, that tells me, okay, well, my time is better spent doing something else.
I mean, so in some ways, you're treating Kickstarter almost as a like a market research.
It could be. I mean, I think that there's I mean, I think there's even a better step before that. I was on I wasn't I wasn't a guest for this. I was just listening in. There was
Okay.
a good discussion during Zine Quest. There was a Zine Quest creators kind of thing that Kickstarter would put out there, and Phil Reed who does his own thing now, but he was a big guy at Steve Jackson for a while,
Uh
Steve
huh.
Jackson Games. He has this idea of, hey, now that Kickstarter lets creators put up 3 or 4 projects at a time in preview mode, one of his things is, well, I'm just going to preview 3 or 4 projects, and whichever one gets the most votes, or at least, I mean, some projects will cost more than others. So, but whichever project is going to be the most rewarding, and factoring in his passion, because he said, even in that, he's like, they were previewing what he was going to do next, and he's like, well, I could wake up tomorrow and have had a brainstorm and it's going to be something different. But yeah,
Yeah.
currently that's what I'm going to do. So you always want to factor in your passion for something too. So
Gotcha.
but doing a poll of folks to say that this is something we could do, or tied with that is we never did a book of encounter ideas for the original sets of Dungeon Morph dice and
Hmm.
cards. So that was another one that's on the list there for that. But been talking for a long time with R. Talsorian Games for a Cyberpunk side quest deck and related decks as well,
Awesome.
because it was made my day. I mean, this was like 4 years ago. I'm looking at the orders that are coming into the website, and I see an order from Mike Pondsmith, and I'm like, is it that Mike Pondsmith? And sure enough, it was. And I'm like, I send out the order and put in a little note there saying, hey, appreciate, love your stuff, appreciate it, and everything. And then I got an email from him, and I'm like, oh, I need to reply to that email. I want to see if we could do a project together, but I never sent it quite because I wasn't quite ready to, and I kind of was feeling, imposter syndrome or
Yeah.
hesitancy about doing it or whatever,
Yep.
and so I didn't send him the note yet, and then like 2 months later, I'm about to send it, and I reread his message, and the last line is like literally, "Hey, if you would like to do something together on this, let me."
And he's wondering why you're not emailing him back.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's actually in progress now. We've
That's
been
awesome.
writing some of them and so forth. So that might be next.
Oh,
Uh,
that's so cool.
yeah.
It's neat. I love the stuff that you come out with. We have a couple of things from chat. First off,
Okay.
Jason Shadowman RPG says I have a 5.25 inch floppy just to prove to my kids they exist.
Okay. Does he have the hole punch so that he can actually double
Make it double sided.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And,
Ka-ching.
and people would have to pay, people that didn't know that were paying nearly as much, and all you. Oh, anyway, yeah, right.
Actually, I got the double sided one.
Yeah.
Good drink.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Now here's the thing. I think we all missed 8-inch floppies.
Yeah, no, I did not have those, nor did I ever have punch cards. So yeah.
Yeah, I never had a punch card. Yes. Did you? There's a person on TikTok who does like retro
Okay.
tech and whatnot, and held up like was talking about a 3.5-inch floppy disk, and people freaking out on her. That's not a floppy disk. We never called them floppy disks. We called them hard disks. She's like opening up Windows 95. She's like, floppy
Yeah,
drive. Like,
yeah,
no, we
yeah,
never called them. That's not what. Like, holy smokes, that's just
yeah,
great. Jason goes, the 5.25-inch floppy has True Type fonts on it. Of course, that's awesome. And King Eric point out that you would like the tabletop game Heroescape, which is one of his favorite games.
yeah,
You
yeah,
build maps out of hexes that different factions fight it out on said map. The maps can be as big as small as you want. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
We have the obligatory Heroescape in. That's very nice. All right, let's get back to actually our conversation, which is fun. Tangents. It's all about the tangents. It
Mm,
really is. All right. So we talked a little bit about the hexploration tiles having that pretty cool web app.
mhm.
Which how do people get to that?
Well, there's Inkwell Ideas role play. Yeah, if you go to the inkwellideas.com, not the store, there's also store.inkwellideas.com, but www.inkwellideas.com. There's a role playing tools link at the top, and then
Okay.
there's Hexlands is what you want to look for,
It's very, very cool.
or probably just looking for hex. Doing a web search for Hexlands would probably get you, or yeah, Inkwell Hexlands or something like that would probably get you there.
So I know you talked a little bit about doing something else, but like what other web apps? Like did that open up a whole kind of brain thing? It's like, hey, we could do stuff with this.
Yeah, I've been a little stuck on web apps for a while because, Hexographer originally, the precursor to Worldographer, was a web app. I mean, it was, yes, back in the day, Java applets were a thing. They would run
Oh,
in your,
okay.
yeah, remember? So they would run in your browser,
Uh-huh.
and I mean, especially in the first few versions of the tool, the download size wasn't too bad, so it was just a browser applet that would run, and then there was some security concerns and such with applets running. They weren't signed. Well, then, yeah, the whole web, even in 2007, 2008, when that came out, 2007, 2008, security was becoming a thing, but it wasn't nearly, there are plenty of sites that weren't secure and stuff that
Yeah.
you were going to, unless it was your bank, right? Um, anyway, so then when applets were seen as insecure and a problem in performance and stuff, so forth, so they took applet functionality out of the different web browsers, and so Java did this other thing called JNLP, which was a way to launch Java on your
Uh-huh.
computer. And so we switched to that for a little bit, but then that went by the wayside too. So then we just became kind of an installed application. But I never really made the switch into the different Java scripting languages, the
Okay.
React and all that kind of stuff. I guess it's just maybe a little bit harder now to, in addition to doing all the creative things I'm doing, as well as keeping Worldographer going, to
Uh-huh.
learn another technology on top of that, I'd have to drop something else perhaps. And so I haven't. However, there is a new technology that's kind of come along. It's crazy. Yeah, there's a new technology that's come along. It's still, you know, it's still new, and they're still developing more things with it. But it basically will let me take my Java program, like even if it is Worldographer or something like that. But I'm trying to start with simpler stuff
Right.
and port it to JavaScript. And this is sort of the same thing that was being done. There was a technology called Google Web Toolkit (GWT)
Yeah.
that did this, which is also, I mean, I'm going to make my third Georgia Tech reference in in this 1 hour conversation. But so back when I was there, I was seriously worried about failing out my final semester. Like I didn't think I was going, not failing out, but I thought I was going to fail this one stats class that I had. There were
Okay.
two versions of the stats class. One which was for math majors, aeronautical engineers, and computer science.
Okay.
It was very theory heavy. And then there was a watered down, non theory, more practical version that everybody
Yes.
else got to take. So I'm in the harder one because that's the one we had to take. And I had failed the precursor, not right before, but like in my junior year. So I had to
Okay.
retake the precursor. And then so I'm seriously stressing this class. Um, fortunately, a friend of mine was taking it too. And so I studied with him every time. And he was, genius. And so he really helped me get through it. And then I look him up years later. We lost touch after a year or so out of college, and I look him up in like 2022 or something.
Okay.
And I find out that he went on to create Google Web Toolkit, this technology. He was the
Oh,
co-creator
really? Oh,
of
cool.
it. And I'm
Okay.
like, holy shit. So anyway, but this technology now allows me to take my Java FX, which is the library that we use for graphics,
And it
and
converts it to
and converts it to
JavaScript?
JavaScript. Yeah, with some caveats that there's only so many controls right now that are ported.
Right.
But whereas, I mean, the older stuff, like the older Java libraries, there was AWT and Swing, and there's
Uh-huh.
ways that already Google Web Toolkit does take that and convert it to JavaScript already.
Okay.
But there's some deficiencies with that library, which is why we went to JavaFX.
Okay.
But then when JavaFX came out, Oracle was getting sold, and so it kind of split, and they didn't get the support that it did, and Android took off, and all the developers went over to Android, and so that library didn't get as much love as it could have gotten, and so it's kind of taken this one-man project essentially to get to the point where you can convert your Java FX into JavaScript.
So I mean, is Java a compiled language?
Java is, yeah. No,
So
Java compiles to a bytecode to like an
so that the
intermediate.
Java virtual machine can run it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like
Did
what's
we?
the
I'm sorry for
we
taking us
just
in
went
this
complete
technical
nerd.
direction.
Yes, we just
Yeah,
went total nerd.
exactly.
So like I'm interested. Like what's the performance hit in converting from a compiled language to an interpreted language?
Yeah, there's a lot of so then that interpreted there that bytecode gets pre-compiled and so forth to the native. So it actually ends, and then there's even some native compilers too that will convert it. There's Graal, which will take your Java and build it to a particular binary for a particular platform as
But I
well.
mean, when you're converting it to JavaScript,
Yeah,
it becomes an interpreted
it
language.
does. Yeah, so there it
So,
is.
like, is there a performance hit with that, or is
There,
it like
well,
computer
even for
hardware gotten so
even
fast it doesn't matter anymore?
well, I mean, I think we're not trying to with a map making program. Even I mean, we're not shooting for 60 frames a
I was about
second.
to say you don't want to go 60 frames in 4K.
Exactly. But there's another technology called I don't know if there's a pronunciation for it, so I'll just WASM, which is a way of that these I think now we're getting to the point where people out there might know more than I do about
Okay.
this. So maybe I'll just leave it at I think that does get you to something that the browser will then pre-compile and run, and since it's pre-compiling that
You
Java,
don't notice the hit
yeah,
as much, and
right.
it's talking directly to the
Right. But
computer, to the
again,
hardware that's
as
running.
since we're not. I mean, there are plenty of games that do it, but they're more game. At least the ones I've seen are more of your mobile type games anyway.
Yeah,
You
it's interesting stuff. You hit the geek in me.
know,
I got to ask this question. All right.
well, there's a lot of crossover, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a ton of crossover. All right, so I can mention, we've been able to connect. We connected first at PAX Unplugged,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Gamehole Con and at Page,
Yeah.
and so I know for me, as a person who goes and covers this stuff, what my experience is like between the larger and the smaller cons.
Mhm.
And there's strengths and deficiencies in both, just for the general experience of it. So for you as a vendor
Yeah.
who are coming in, how's that combination? And it's not just size. How does the combination of size and vibe change the way you approach a smaller convention like Page versus a larger one like PAX Unplugged?
Let's see. So, boy, I might have lost the thread there in the question.
so you so you're going to these two different
Yeah,
conventions. You're going to PAX Unplugged. You're going to Page.
right.
They're different vibes, and
Yeah.
there's a size difference between the two. So how does that change the way you approach going to it? Like your expectations, like what are you hoping to accomplish? Like what are your does it change your goals when you go to the convention?
I think I mean we've been doing conventions since I think we started out in the deep end. Our first convention was Gen Con in like 2011 or
You're
2012.
nuts.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. They had the well, they still have the Entrepreneurs Avenue thing, and so we went to there, and that was our very first convention. That was the deep end. Um, so, what do I, what is my approach, or what are my expectations?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think I need to be. Oh gosh, I don't know. I wanted to say, I mean, is it I guess, I mean, certainly you want to come out ahead. You want to make more,
Right.
and that's a lot harder at a Gen Con than at Page, or even, I mean, PAX Unplugged is kind of in between cost wise. I mean,
Right.
Gen Con for me to have a double booth at Gen Con is $6,000 for the booth.
Right. So you have to make 6K just to break even.
Well, I have to make 6K for that, but then I also need to have a hotel room or two.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
pay for a couple of flights for a couple of the folks coming out. I have to,
Uh-huh.
then there's a number of other costs. So, I mean, for a double, even just a double booth, I mean, there are plenty, we did some cons. We've done some Gen Cons with a single booth, but I mean, a double booth, I mean, you have to clear $12,000
Yeah.
to actually come out ahead. And then that's not factoring in your time, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
factor in cost of product, because even if you do clear $12,000 at the convention, well, that cost you a few $1,000s to print,
Mm-hmm.
so you got to factor that in. So you have to really, so for a Gen Con, I mean, we have not come out ahead very often. Now we did in our most recent one. I was pretty happy with that. And
Okay.
there's a couple of little tricks, and I mean, like, us doing an actual free giveaway in the coupon book, I think actually helped us quite a bit,
Okay. Cool.
and brought a lot of people into the booth. And I think that in years that we didn't do that, it would be harder for us to come out ahead. Now at a Page, it's certainly a whole lot, especially since it's somewhat local. I still have to get a hotel, but I can drive, and the
Mm-hmm.
other person can drive, and so it really just comes down to hotel, food, and booth fee. And the booth fee is not $6,000 at Page.
Right.
Um, so for Page, that was great, but so it was much easier to come out ahead at Page. And so
Right.
certainly appreciate everybody who did support us at the conventions. I mean, we can't do it, we won't do it if we don't make sales,
Mm-hmm.
just I mean, but there is that whole additional advantage of all the networking, which I took advantage to some degree with Page, but I really wish I had done more. Which, I mean, leads into you, and you, like, for PAX Unplugged. I the first time that we connected was
Yeah.
because you were on the list of media folks covering PAX Unplugged. And
Yeah.
I made it a point that year to look at everybody, and it was a list of 250 or so people. And made a point to look at everybody's channel, or whatever the link was, the website or whatever that people had. And if they were doing tabletop RPG stuff that was OSR-ish, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I sent a note. So I sent a note. I mean, even if it was straight up TTRPG stuff, as long as it wasn't like actual plays, then I
Right.
reached out to those folks too. And of the 50 or so folks that I reached out to, maybe 8 or 10 got back to me, and then of those, like 3 or 4 actually showed up. you
Oh my
know
gosh.
and so you were one of them, so I very much appreciate that. And I don't know, I mean, if some some smart social media folks should actually follow through on, if you are a media person covering a con, going around, I think, especially, I mean, I definitely have time for anybody who's got a YouTube channel of really
Yeah.
any size or similar thing,
Hmm.
that wants to record something or do a quick little interview or whatever, even during the day as we're there.
Hmm.
I mean, it works a little bit better if people know when we're going to be less busy,
Yeah.
or schedule something in advance like what we had done. But even better is if you're like able to help at a booth and get an exhibitor's badge, so you can come in that hour early and kind of do the little hobnobbing, and that's actually golden. I think somebody who wants to have some sort of a YouTube channel presence or grow it, to do something like that where you say, hey, I want to be a exhibitor, or not, I want to be a media person at a con, and find a small publisher who will let you come and work their booth for a handful of hours in exchange for an
And go
exhibitor
do it.
badge. And then you can go hobnob with all those folks for that hour before, or even all of setup day.
So they
uh,
used to let media in early
yeah, well, and what
before me.
yeah.
So
Yeah, some I think Gen Con still does it for like an hour on that first day, or maybe that's only VIPs, one or the other.
yeah,
But
it would be cool to be able to get in early and to do
yeah,
interviews, but
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah.
for you, I mean, even though it's so hard to break even going
Right.
to like a Gen Con.
Yeah, because then you're looking at those other intangibles. You're looking at, okay, so
Yeah.
say the money is a wash, say the
Right.
money is a wash, then you're looking at, okay, well, I'm still is my time, then you've got your time involved, and then you've got to find what are those other intangibles, and the other intangibles are the networking that you can do
Yeah.
there, where you can talk to some of the other folks, and that I personally feel like I didn't do enough. Even at Page, I did do some of it. There was one night there that I was hanging out for quite a while, and hope to do, because I also, when I do a convention, for the longest time, all the conventions that we did, I would want to make sure that the people that are coming to help me with the booth and everything are having a good time. So I
Right.
was scheduling some game session for all of us to do together each night,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
and it's cool, and I definitely want to do something like that for them most of the nights. But I'm thinking,
Hmm.
well, it might be enough for me to, as we were saying, to kind of have a little bit more flexibility, as far as I might not be at the booth as much, like, instead of me and the other folks being at the booth, I mean, myself 90% of the time, other
Right.
folks, for 70 or percent of the time, and to kind of lower that down so that everybody else can enjoy themselves, take half a day off,
Yeah.
go do
Go
some
do
stuff
something.
during the day, so that there's some more networking time available. So yeah.
It's always
I
a
don't,
trade-off.
I hope I don't know if that's
Yeah,
interesting
that's
to
what
other folks or not.
well, I mean, for folks, I know my friend Dave's having a booth, had a booth at PAX this year, and he's going to be hoping one for PAX Unplugged, and that he had a Page hopes for PAX Unplugged,
Hmm.
and is doing Page next year, and I know that that would be valuable for him to like, how
Hmm.
do you balance all that, because you still want to be at the convention
Right.
even though you're working.
Right.
But I like that, like there's still those intangibles of going to
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So you go to a smaller convention like
Well,
Page
and
or
and and let
Game
me
Hole.
not overlook too. I mean,
Yeah,
just talking to folks and getting the feedback on our products, and what's working. And
it's huge.
fortunately,
Yeah,
a lot of it is, hey, yeah, I use this. I use the. I can't tell you the number of times that I'm doing my pitch for somebody new, and then somebody walks by and is like, "Hey, I just want you to know, I bought these and I used them."
yes. It's like
That's
that's like
really valuable and good. Yeah, exactly.
It's
So,
awesome.
so
So
getting
what,
that feedback from folks is definitely a big part of the convention too.
like at Gen Con and PAX, you're just going to have traffic constantly, right?
There are some slow moments. There's some time, so there are those times where you're like, okay, we haven't had anybody come up to the booth in 3.5 minutes yet. What's going
Three and
on?
a half. Yeah. A
And
full
there's
three and a
always a
half
joke
minutes.
going, like if I did, like I say, I try to stay at the booth 90% of the time. Now maybe that'll
Right.
change, but when I do step away, bathroom or get
Yeah.
a snack or whatever, and come back, if there's a sale that's been made, then the other folks are joking. Okay, Joe, go away again.
Go away.
You know?
But you go, so a Gamehole Con and
Mhm.
Page are smaller animals.
Yeah.
So like, what are some of the ways that you kind of develop the intangible? Because you talked about you hadn't done a whole lot of networking for
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So what's your interaction with the customers? Like, how does that differ at like a Page
Yeah.
compared to like a PAX
Well,
Unplugged?
you definitely have a lot more time at Page, and I had a lot more time to talk to the other. With any given person, you don't feel like you're as rushed because at a Gen Con, even though there are those times where it's been 3.5 minutes. Why?
A whole 3.5 minutes I could
Yeah.
breathe.
Well,
I would die. So,
but there's plenty of times where you've got maybe there's 3 or 4 of us working the booth at a time. We're all talking with somebody, or I'm doing a pitch and somebody else is doing a pitch, and the other person's checking them and checking another person out,
mhm.
and you've got 2 or 3 people waiting still. So
Yeah.
there are those times too, at a Gen Con, and you're not going to have that as much at PAX, but you're not going to have that at Page or a Gamehole Con. But and we've done North Texas and we've done Gary Con,
Uh-huh.
and so those are in the same vein as far as traffic wise. Although Gary Con was always super busy for us. I only stopped doing it because my daughters were at an age where they needed more attention from me, so
Yeah.
I had to drop a convention. um, and North Texas was always just something where it's a flight for me, and I have to bring stuff. So I was only doing it because I happen to have nephews graduating from schools in Dallas on the same week. It was the weirdest thing. Like I exhibited 3 or 4 times at North Texas, and it was all that. It was like I'm going to be there that week anyway.
So I'm going to this thing.
Yeah,
But it's but just a different experience for the people who
yeah,
are shopping. They get to talk with you more and pick your brain a little
right,
bit more than they do at PAX.
right.
Uh, here we have King Eric.
Yeah.
We're going to go deep. Do you
Okay.
think AI will run rampant to the point that it will be indistinguishable from reality?
Gosh, I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, like I said, it's been many years since I was looking into it from a researcher's point of view or whatever. Um, I think. I mean, it's going to be harder and harder to tell, and I think that it's really going to come down to, well, proof. You're going to have proof of human made or not more and more, because there's so many
Like,
false
what
positives.
a stupid world we've created.
Yeah, we got AI doing all the things that we want to do, not the things we don't want to do, right?
Like, yeah,
You
I now have to prove I'm human to
Yeah.
make something. Like, what the heck?
Although that's been on the web for 10 years now, that
Yeah,
proving
I
that
know.
you're human, but
Well, that's
yeah, but that's a different bot type thing. I think that really it's a matter of the innovation that AI can't do, and to some degree I don't think we'll ever be able to do, is to actually true to have that true innovation. I mean, it's that funny thing about we all, or those of us of a certain age, which I'm going to include you in.
thank you so much.
We watched, in 1999 when the Matrix came out. We're like, the peak of civilization. The computers all decided it was 1999. Come on, how can you be that dumb? Of course it's
They were
going to
going,
progress. And then you think back and you're like, you know what? The world in 1999 is a whole lot,
oh
right?
shoot. I mean, back then
Maybe that was
I could have a 4 meg graphic card and that
well,
would be
maybe that was
awesome.
the peak of civilization, right?
Yeah, that was before social media. Um, just awful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the
So
most
yeah,
part.
I am so hoping that AI does not take over the universe, but
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
you
there's
know,
certainly good applications, good uses for it. But we need it for more of the things that we don't want to do, and less of the things that we do want to do.
yeah, it's very strange.
Mhm.
I don't want to get into that right
Yeah,
now. Okay, so all right, let's talk because we're over an hour and a half at this point. So let's talk. We've talked about
we can
the
go. You
difference.
go and break your record from last
Yeah,
week, or
oh
was that
my,
the record last
that
week?
actually, yeah, Rose was the record. It was all those tangents talking
Yeah,
about stuff with water.
I had bought some of their stuff at Gamehole. They were at Gamehole too, I believe, and so
I missed her at Game Hall. I am a big Rose Nickel fan. She's awesome. Um,
see that. But that's more of the networking that I want to do. I mean, I talked to her some at Gamehole when I picked that up, but
yeah.
I did not reach out to her there at Page.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know what the weird thing is that of all the conventions I go to, so I was at GamehoCon and I do PAX Unplugged every year and I do Page every year. The one I do the least actual video for is Page.
Hmm. Well, but you were like running. You were doing. I
Well,
thought you were
this year
doing
I
the
was
interview.
working, so
Yeah. Okay.
that didn't
Oh, but you're
count.
not counting. You're not
But
counting.
like the last 2 years, like I do my least amount of interviews there, and I think it's because I'm just hanging out
Uh huh.
because I'm networking other ways. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like I just want to sit down and chat with someone. I don't need to do a video. Like have fun.
There's good value.
Um,
There's good value in that. You don't. That's the. I sometimes feel guilty, and you don't want to be always in sales mode, essentially,
yeah.
right?
Sometimes it's just nice to hang out.
Yeah,
So let's talk. And I was working very hard at Page this year.
you
So
were. Yeah, you were.
yeah, you could
Yeah,
watch the booth from where we
yeah.
were.
I was. Yeah, I was about 4 booths away or 5 booths away.
I could wave like hi, and I still walked over like 3 times, and you weren't there. Uh,
Yeah.
so let's talk. What other conventions are going to be hitting in 2026?
Okay, so yeah, I mentioned that I was just going for fun at Breakout Con is
Yeah.
the Toronto convention because I wanted to check that out. Something different. That's for fun.
Uh huh.
I am then. I think my next thing is just also for fun, just a little convention local to me. It's 1D4 Con is what it's called. It's in the border of Virginia, West Virginia.
Oh, cool.
And so that's like an hour away from me. So I'm just going to go to that for fun. A bunch of the other folks that I know um, that are part of my game, the game group I'm playing with right now, are going to be there for that.
Awesome.
So we'll do that. But the next, I kind of do want to try to see if I can pick up a convention to exhibit at before Gen Con. Otherwise, it'll be Gen Con. But I mean, the wild card is like, again, Origins as well as North
Yeah.
Texas are both around my younger daughter's graduation.
So you can't be going away on that.
I
Yep.
can't be going to those. Yeah, I can't go to those this year. I mean, now next year it'll be, maybe a good possibility. But so it very well may be that Gen Con is the next one we're exhibiting at.
Okay. But are you hitting like GameholeCon, PAX Unplugged?
So Gamehole Con, I'm iffy on. I don't, because it's such, so the profit wise, it wasn't good for us, and
Okay.
it's a matter of that drive. It is a 14-hour drive to bring the stuff out.
Yeah.
Essentially, or 16 maybe, and then when you factor, but I think profit wise, you know, I think I've been coming around to a little bit more in that. I think that we just had some unnecessary expenses that we could probably get rid of.
Oh, okay.
And if I get rid of these two big expenses in particular, then maybe, but then it does become that you still have that drive and everything. So that's game hole.
Yep.
So I think I'm kind of 50-50 about game, and maybe I've missed the boat. It might be that they're full anyway at this
Oh,
point.
okay.
Um, and then, but then PAX, we are set to do PAX again, and
Gotcha.
and I actually am. I was really worried about doing Page in Philadelphia or outside of Philadelphia 2 months
Hmm.
after PAX, but had such a great, even at in that case, because I think that I would get the same ability to network at Page as I did as we would have at Gamehole, for example.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as much as at GaryCon. GaryCon is probably still the king of that, if you will.
Okay.
But I think with Page, I think it's when you factor in the distance for me, I think, I think it's a whole lot. I think it's a pretty good ratio, and so I think Page is definitely high on our list. Both because it did work out and because of the networking.
Yeah, it's a nice. Like I said, I don't do work there or my YouTube work there because I'm too busy hanging out with people. It's just
Yeah,
got that nice feel
yeah,
to it.
yeah. So I think I'd like, I'll probably bring in another person with me so that we could all have more downtime and then do more networking and such.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Well, we're doing. I'm not keeping you rose nickel time. So hour and a half. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to
Yep,
go over to the Kickstarter page. This is the artwork. If you're interested, this is the 8675 of 309. And
yep.
if you don't have that tune stuck in your head, now you have to go ask Siri about it. But yeah, you have it ends Wednesday. You have just a little under, I guess, 48 hours to get
Right.
into it.
Yep.
So if you would like to back it, I know they would appreciate it. Lots of cool stuff that are coming out for it. And Inkwell Ideas also has a whole bunch of other cool stuff that is really worth checking out. So will you stay on for a little bit so I can thank you before while I
All right. Yep.
go
Sure
say
thing.
goodbye to everybody and then
Okay.
we'll be right back.
Yep.
So folks, that was Joe's awesome. Second time on, we'll have him back on again when some other cool stuff comes out. Go check out Inkwell Ideas stuff. As for me, coming up on channel, I am working on a couple of pieces to talk about things that I have learned from various movies I've read about running games. Should be kind of interesting. I'm going to finish up one of the drafts of that to share with some folks. I am working through Daggerheart because we are having our second meeting of the TTRPG or DM Tales DTRPG book club on March 25th at 8:30 p.m. We're going to be doing chapters 3 through 5 of Daggerheart, so I'm working through that. And I'm still working on Coriolis the Great Dark because it's a really cool game and I'm looking forward to it. And I have Redacted and I have TMNT and I've got Savage Worlds Rifts is hanging out there behind me. They're all things that I need to read. They're all coming to channel. More interviews are coming up. They've got scheduled. I have to get them on the channel so I can preview them. But I do know that Tiger Wizard is going to be on to talk about his new game that he's designed, Travers, which looks really cool. And I'm looking forward to having him on. I think that is on St. Patrick's Day, so that should be kind of fun. I am looking forward to bringing all of this to you. And until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.